A Day in Colonial Haiti by Philippe Girard. 9 p.m. The Diva stars in a crowd favorite. Jeanne de Marsan lifts the curtain and takes a quick peek at the stage. She's scheduled to go in 15 minutes. She can still feel the butterflies, even after all these years. Isn't it silly, she thinks? She's no stranger to the spotlight. She performed on the most prestigious stages in Europe before she began her second act in the Caribbean. 1 year ago, the son of the King of England spent a day in the Cape just so that he can see her perform, for Christ's sake. She is not only a grande dame of the theater, she is Madame de Marsan, the undisputed star of the theater of the Cape, who commands an unheard of salary of 12,000 livres a year. She fans herself with her hands. It is insanely hot inside the theater, because windows are kept shut so that drafts don't snuff out the candles. Then there's the smell. What can you expect in a 120 by 40-foot room packed with 1,500 sweaty spectators drenched in perfume? This is the price I must pay for being so popular. Marsan loves her audience. After all, they made her what she is, a star. But they can also be finicky. When they get bored, they talk, heckle, and toss oranges at the cast. Also, they fight. One night, some young men debated whether to stage a masquerade or a regular ball after the play. The dispute ended with drawn swords, not the wooden prop kind, in a duel. Disturbances are so common in the theater of the Cape that soldiers from the garrison attend each performance. Even that is not always enough. A clerk once bit one of the guards on duty. These kinds of things happen when the theater is competing with public executions to serve as the town's main source of entertainment. At least the current theater, which opened on Montache Square in 1766, is elegant and well built. It survived the earthquake of 1770 that leveled Port-au-Prince. When the ongoing renovations are completed, the new and improved theater will be better ventilated. Thank God for that. The renovations will also add a third tier of loges. Marsan doesn't care for that last bit. The uppermost loges are reserved for free people of color, so the expansion will only attract more of their lot. Granted, they sit in a segregated area that can only be reached through its own segregated staircase. But still, I could do without him. Marsan tends to be touchy about racial issues, because her only real rival on the colonial stage is a mixed-race actress simply known as Minette. God knows who her father is. That girl was utterly unknown until, on some cursed day in February of 1781, the theater of Port-au-Prince announced that a young demoiselle of 14 would play the role of Isabelle in the light opera Isabelle and Gertrude. Minette was an instant hit. Someone, I think it was that slave lover Moreau, wrote that any just and sensitive person would be charmed that she triumphs. The girl joined the permanent troupe of the theater of Port-au-Prince with a salary almost as high as Marsan's. Rumor is, Minette sleeps with the director of her theater, a man 20 years her senior. I'm sure that kick-started her career. And yet, that girl has the gall to play innocent young ingenues on the stage. The men in her audience eat it up anyway. Of course they do. Those pigs have a disgusting infatuation with mixed-race girls young enough to be their daughters. Speaking of directors, Marsan's own boss, Jean-Baptiste Fontaine, signals to Marsan that she is on in 5. That man always has a panicked look on his face. He bought the theater a year ago from his previous owner, who was all too happy to rid himself of that burden. The theater at the Cape may be packed 3 nights a week, but its finances are shaky. Staging an endless stream of plays and operas is expensive, especially if you want to attract top talent from France. Marsan's thoughts wander back to Minette. She cannot get that girl out of her mind. No established actress appreciates it when an upstart comes to steal her thunder, especially when the public's new darling is 14 and Marsan is, well, let's just say she is in her 30s, though many men have told her that she doesn't look a day over 20. The two divas have been battling for thespian supremacy ever since Minette's grand debut. The girl opened the hostilities in August 1781, when she dared to appear on the Port-au-Prince stage. Starring in Marsan's greatest success, the opera Beautiful Arsène, So in December, Marsan played the same role again, but better, in the Cape. Minette did not learn her lesson, and she dared to play Chloe in The Judgment of Midas in December 1781, just 1 month after Marsan had triumphed in the same role in the Cape. All right, lady, Marsan resolved. Two can play that game. Minette played the Spanish princess in the Infanta of Zamora in October 1783. Well, Marsan upstaged her a month later in the same role. Minette played the titular role in The 15-Year-Old Lover. Marsan played it right afterward. Okay, that role may have been a bit of a stretch. The rivalry came to a head over Zemir and Azor, a Beauty and the Beast knockoff set in Persia. Marsan performed it in the Cape in June of 82, so of course Minette followed in October. Marsan reprised her role in December, so Minette did it again in January of 83, and Marsan doubled down in October. The director Fontaine eventually told Marsan to please stop because the audience was sick of seeing the same opera. Marsan consoled herself with a snarky thought. Maybe my rival was so popular in that opera because people thought she was playing the beast all along. The rivalry has taken its toll on Marsan. Performing in the colonies is work. Season subscribers at the Theater of the Cape expect 3 shows a week, no repeats, or the director will have a riot on his hand. The night at the theater often includes an opera, followed by a lighter comedy, and a musical performance. Some nights also include fireworks, a banquet, and a ball lasting until dawn. Thankfully, Marsan has range. She can play tragedies by Corneille, foreign plays like Shakespeare's King Lear, operas like The Double Metamorphosis, and comedies like The Barber of Seville. Minette can't say the same. She has a good voice, or so they say, but acting is not her forte. A particularly daunting role in Marsan's repertoire is the madwoman in Nina. Minette tried to tackle it, but the critics didn't approve. I would have liked for her to vary her emotions more, so that she could better convey the wrenching situations she was supposed to depict, a critic wrote in the newspaper. By contrast, Mrs. Marsan in the Cape has played the role before my eyes with agonizing veracity. If this actress were employed by the Italian theater in Paris, her name would be as famous as stars like Dugazon. Cynics claim that Marsan planted the review. She will neither confirm nor deny that allegation. As if staging 3 different shows a week is not daunting enough, the Theater of the Cape regularly schedules benefits as well. These benefits are additional performances whose ticket sales supplement a lucky actor's salary. The period of Carnival, which is always the busiest time of the season, was particularly overwhelming this year. Marsan got some much-deserved rest this week on account of Good Friday, but it's Sunday now. Jesus is back from the dead, and the show must go on. Tonight's performance is a benefit for Marsan's colleague. To begin the night, he picked Henriette or the Lover Deserter, a recent production straight from the Parisian stage. Marsan, of course, played the leading role, a woman who cross-dresses as a soldier so that she can follow her husband into the army. Marsan's roles often involve cross-dressing. She doesn't mind. After all, the essence of acting is transforming oneself into someone else, even someone utterly different. Minette, yes, her again, seems to be pickier about her roles. She shuns farcical comedies and favors prestigious operas from Paris. Maybe she's self-conscious about her social status because African blood runs through her veins. Or maybe she's just being uppity. After Marsan appeared in Therese and Jeannot, a Creole parody that is always a crowd favorite, that girl had the nerve to announce that she would never appear in, quote, one of those ephemeral productions that bastardize and degrade the lyrical stage. Bitch. Well, take that, Minette, Marsan thinks. Therese and Jeannot is tonight's second feature, and even though Minette finds this comedy degrading, the audience in the Cape just loves it. The original opera, by Jean-Jacques Rousseau, was set in a European village before it was adapted for the colonial stage by a playwright from the Cape known as Fat Clement, on account of his girth. It now revolves around 2 star-crossed black lovers on a Haitian plantation who speak Creole and sing Caribbean tunes. An old slave named Papa Simon provides some comic relief. Papa Simon is a difficult role because the performer must speak fluent Creole and embody every gesture of a Haitian slave to sell the part. French-born actors often struggle when trying to play a slave convincingly, so a local amateur is tackling the role tonight. And he is killing it, Marsan notes with a little pang of jealousy. From her side of the curtain, she can hear the loud roars from the audience every time Papa Simon begins another of his famous Negro dances. The director Fontaine signals to Marsan that she is on. All right, let's show that amateur what a professional can do. One final touch-up with a burnt cork. One final glance at the mirror to confirm that her skin is dark enough. One final look at her wench costume. Mrs. Marsan pushes the curtains aside and steps confidently onto the stage in blackface, ready to assume yet another role in her vast repertoire, the Black Lover, Therese.
A note from the historian. The theater of the Cape shut down after the start of the 1791 slave revolt. Many of the colony's performers, including Madame Marsan, Minette, Fontaine, migrated to New Orleans, where they introduced Creole parodies in blackface to an American audience. Minette died in New Orleans in January 1807. Marsan upstaged her one last time by dying in the same town just 2 months later.